Welcome back to the new video. In this video, we are doing some data cleaning and data analysis in Pandas DataFrame. So in this video, we are going to cover the topic like how to read a file from storage, how to do basic data exploration, and how to find null values in DataFrame, and how to drop columns and how to drop rows, how to drop rows with null values, and how to reset indexes, and how to fill the null values with median and mode, and how to get a statistical summary of data, and how to add more information to statistical summary, and how to merge the series to data frame based on indexes. And in the last, we are going to see how to see the entire data of data frame. Then straightly move on to the topic. In order to use the pandas library, I need to import that first. So I will first import the pandas library by import pandas as pd. So I imported pandas library. I need one more library, that is import os. So I will tell you what is the use of os library. So os library is used to check the where my notebook is currently working. So I will check os dot get cwd. If I run this function, it will give the path where my notebook is currently working. It's working in downloads. So I can get the file from the downloads now. Unless it is working in the downloads, I can't access any file from the downloads. So my file is in downloads, so I can now access that file from the downloads because my current notebook is working on downloads. So this is how you can check the where my notebook is currently working. So I have imported pandas library and os library to check the path of the notebook. So then I will move on to the next first topic, that is how to read a file from the storage. So in order to read the file from the storage, we have imported pandas library. Then we will read the file like pd dot means pandas dot read. In order to read the file, we use read, and based on which type of file we have to give that. So for example, I am reading now CSV file. Then I have to give CSV over here. Then within the file, within the parenthesis, I have to give the name of that file. So I will check where is my file is. So my file is in the which file, CSV file I want to read. So let's check for that file whether that is available. Yeah, this is CSV file of Forbes American top colleges. So I will select this name. I will copy the name and go to my notebook, and I will fill it over here. So the name of the file is filled over here, that is CSV file. So I have given that CSV over here. If it is Excel file, we have to give the Excel over here. If it is HTML file, based on the name, the type of file, we have to mention it over here. So if I read that file, so this function will read, this code will read that file from the storage. So if I want to store it in a specific variable or the place, I have to give one variable. So I will define my data frame as a df. So if I run this code now, it is stored in, this file is stored in df variable as a data frame. If I check for that df file now, yeah, it's come over here. So this is how we can read the file. Based on the type of the file, we have to give the, whether it's a CSV file, Excel file, and we have to mention the name of that file, then store it in a variable. So this is the variable data frame is stored in df variable. So it will shows like this. It entire have 650 rows and 17 columns. So this is not show the entire data. I will tell you how to see the entire data at the end of this video. So let's move on to the next. We learned about how to read the file from the storage. Then how to do basic data exploration check. After importing the file from the storage, we have to check for the data. What's the data is about, and how we have to interpret some of the basic information about the data to get basic understanding. So we will do like, we will check the shape and its dimension, type. First we will check the type of the data. Let's check the type of our data is df. So if I run this, I got the type pandas code frame and data frame. It's in the form of data frame. This is structure in data frame. So this is about type. Then if I want to check the shape of data, I will give df dot shape. If I run this, it give the markdown shape. The shape of 650 and 17 means 650 rows and 17 columns. If I want to check the what else at data types of each column, so I can give like df dot dtypes, df dot dtypes. Then if I run this, sorry, df dot dtypes, it will give the data types of each column. Like rank column is the data type of integer value, then name is object means the string value, then the state object, and int float, like that. It will give the data type of each and every column. So this is how you can make some data basic exploration. So in order to get the exploration at a one single form, we have a one function called is info. So if I write df means data frame of info, if I run this, I get this information. It tells everything like index number 650 entries and 0 to 649 indexes. And the data columns, I have total 17 columns in my data frame. Then it will shows the column wise information like rank, and it also show the non null value counts. In total I have 650 entries, and it also tell the not null values. So in the rank column I have 650 not null values, means every data is filled. In this you can see that in net price it's showing that 648 not null values, means it has two null values. In this it has four null values, in this it has 15 null values, like that. It will give the null values information and also the dtype, whatever we did in this dtypes and that shape, it will give overall information togetherly in this just df.info function. So this is how we can get. It also tells the float information like data type float. We have 8 columns with the float information, float data type, and 4 columns with the int data type, and 5 columns with the object data type. And memory used to store this data frame is 86.5 plus kbs. So this is how we can get some information about our data frame. I can also check the null values in my data frame together. It gives the null values like in each column. If I want to get the null values like df dot isNull. IsNull is a function that checks the number of null values. So if I just give isNull function, let's see what will we get. It will give every column wise information like false, 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 true and false boolean value. Like it will give wherever it find not null value, it give false. Wherever it find null value, it give true. So if I want to get the number of null value, I have to give the sum function to it. So it will count the number of null values. So here in the rank column it has 0 null value, like that. In net price we have already seen over here, it will give 648 not null value, means 2 null value, and average grant aid 4 null value in 15, like that. In the sat lower and sat upper and ACT lower and ACT upper, it have major null values like 99, 99 and 97, 97. So it have major null value. So this is how we can check the null value. If I want to see the entire null values in my data frame, I would give another sum for this. So it will count the number of null value. 420 null values in my data frame. It will consider each column and row. It will count the number of null value. So this is how we can check the null values of our data frame. So then the next is data cleaning. So if I have null values in my data frame, if I have another misleading information in data frame, how can I clean that data frame so that I can make some analysis for the best purpose? So how to find the null values? So we already checked how to find the null values. We find the null values by df dot is null function. So if I use only if is null function, it will give the true and false boolean value. If I make sum of that, it will give the sum of each and every column wise information like this. By this we can understand that the sat lower, sat upper, these have major null values. So this is how we can check the null values. So if I found that in my data frame, the sat lower, sat upper, this have major null values like 99 null values. If I want to remove that, if I want to remove that column from my data frame, how can I drop that column? So let's see how to drop the columns from the data frame. So in order to drop the column, we have one function that is called drop function. So obviously we use drop function. So we will use drop function in order to drop or delete the column as well as row in slightly different manner for each of that. So first let's see how to delete this row, delete this column from data frame. So I will use df dot drop. In the parameters, I will give the name of that which column I want to remove. So I will give the name over here. If I give the name over here, let's see what will happen. So here we have to should observe that the drop function is work for row wise information. So here we are trying to delete or drop column. So we have to give one more parameter, that is axis. We have to mention about the axis. If I mention about axis is equal to 1, so then the pandas will understand we are trying to delete a column. Otherwise it's look for the row wise information whether this sat function will found or not. So this will give the error. So here it's giving the error that sat is not found in axis, means it is checking, the drop function is checking the sat lower row in the data frame. So it's won't found. By default it is work for row. So I have to mention about the axis, then only it can understand, it can get this sat lower in the column wise information and it will delete that column. So let's get, yeah, I deleted this column from the data frame. So now I don't found the sat lower. We have sat upper, but we don't have sat lower because we just deleted. But this deletion is not permanent because we didn't store. Unless we stored in Python, unless we stored any information, any changes, it won't get changed in the original data. So we have two options to make changes permanently. One, we can assign these changes to another variable, or we have another one function that is in place. So we can use in place is equal to true. If I use in place is equal to true and then I run this code, it make that change permanently. If I now check for df, so that sat upper column is deleted permanently. I won't found that sat lower, sorry, sat lower we have deleted, sat lower, that made permanent deletion of from the data frame. Otherwise if I don't give this in place is equal to true, it won't delete that column from the data frame permanently. So this is how we can make changes permanently by using in place is equal to true. So if I want, here I deleted only one column and I have three more columns with the major null value. So if I want to delete all that column in one drop function, so how can I do that? So I will use same function df dot drop, and within a parameter I have to give the three column name. So I will use first column name is sat lower is already deleted, so I will use sat upper. So I will give it over here sat upper. Then I have ACT lower, sorry, ACT lower, ACT lower, then ACT upper, comma, ACT upper. Then I want to look for the column information. So I will give the axis is equal to 1. If I run this code now, it will give the error. So first I will show by running it. It will give the error because we have more than one parameter or arguments within the function of drop. So if we have more than one arguments for the parameter, we have to put it in a bracket, or we can say it as list. We have to give it in a list, then only it will take. So if I run this now, so that sat upper, sat lower, whatever we given as a parameter has deleted from my data frame. So here I didn't given the in place is equal to true. Then let's check for the df column now before making changes. So if I now check for df, so I will check it over here. If I now check for df, let's see, let's observe. If I now check for df, it will give the information. It hold the sat upper, sat lower, ACT lower, ACT upper, because we didn't make that changes permanently. So in order to make that changes permanently, I have to give another code, that is in place is equal to true. If I now run this, if I now check for that df column, it will give information by deleting that column whatever we given as an argument. So this is how we can delete a column. We can delete one column, or we can delete more than one column by giving it in a list. And if you want to make, so by default it will work for the row wise information. It will check for row wise information for deletion. So if I give axis is equal to 1, it will check for column wise information. And if I want to make the change permanently, I will use in place is equal to true. So this is how we can delete any row, delete any column from the data frame. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. So we saw about how to drop any column. So let's see how to drop any row. If I want to drop any row from here, like if I want to drop 648 rows or 649 row, how can I drop that? So we will use same function to drop the row as well. However, we use it to drop the column. So if I want to drop the columns, I have used that name, like the name of the column, like sat upper, the heading of the column, like sat upper, ACT lower, like that. So in order to identify the row, in order to delete, so I will use the indexing of the row. So my each row have a separate unique index. So if I use that index, it will automatically delete that row. So no need to put the d. So I will use like df dot drop, same function I use, df dot drop. I will just give the index number of the row. So I want to delete 648. So if I just give this in column, we have to give that axis is equal to 1, because as drop function is by default working for a row, here I no need to give that axis is equal to 1. It will automatically check for the each row for this index and it will drop that. So if I now run that, so let's check, my 648 is not available. So here 648 row is not available because I have deleted that. So this is how we can delete any row. If I want to give more than one, or you can give like this series or more than one row index to delete that row. So then let's see how to drop row with null values. Here we manually doing the dropping of row by giving the indexes. So we have another function to drop the row with null value. If we found any null values in our row, so how can I delete by using a function? So we have one function called is drop any. It will drop the row with null value. So I will explain with an example. So df dot drop any, df dot drop any. If I use this function df dot drop any, and if I run this, it will drop all the row. It will drop all the row with null values. If it found any null values in the row information, it will delete that row. So this is how this function will work. Drop any, df dot drop any. As drop is working for the row, it will automatically work for the row. It will check the each row, and if it is found any null value in that row, it will delete that. So we can observe it over here. Here now we have 624 rows. Earlier we had 650 rows. Now we have only 625 rows. Means this function found 25 rows with some null values, so it deleted. But this could not make deletion permanently because we didn't store it anywhere. So if I want to store it, so let's say I will store this data frame in another data frame. I will call it as df1. So I will store it. So if I now check for df, I have 650 rows. If I check for df1, I have 624 rows. So this is how we can store it in another variable. So df.1 is a data frame with the not null value. It will deleted all the null value. If I check for .isNull, check for isNull function, it will give false. If I make the sum of that, you can see that we don't have any null values in my df.1 because I deleted all the column also as well as the row with null value. If I check for the same for df, I have null in this. So in the next, so after I deleted some of the column with null value, so we can observe it over here. After I deleted the column with row with null value, we can observe that some of the row, the indexing is messed over here because some rows are deleted. So by that the indexing is get disturbed because in the middle it found that null value, it deleted that row. So here we can observe that after 647 it directly have 649 because 648 index is that row is deleted. So now I have not in a order, I have index with not an order because some rows are deleted. So in order to reset the index, we have another function that is called as resetting of index, that is reset underscore index. So I want to reset the information for df.1. So I will use df.1 dot reset underscore index. I want to reset the indexes of df.1 data frame. So if I run this, we will found like this. Here I have one more index, so here we can check that. Here I have 620, 621, 620 in a order. But I have one more indexing. You can check it over here, 647 and 649. What is this? This is the old index. So this function is adding indexes to this data frame, and it also have that old index also. So if I want to delete the old index and add the new index, just I need to do here in the parenthesis, I have to give drop is equal to true. If I give drop is equal to true, what will it do is it will delete the old index. So it will delete this index and it will add the new index. So if I now run this code, we can see the old index is deleted and it added the new index with the order. So this is how we can reset any index. If I want to add any index, if I want to delete and add any index, I can use the same function, that is reset.index. Suppose for example in my in some of my data frame I don't have any index, so I can add the index like this using this reset dot index. I don't need to drop is equal true because I didn't have the old index in some places. So if I have old index and I want to add new index and delete the old index, I can use drop is equal to true within the parenthesis of this reset underscore index function. So this is how we can reset any indexes. Then let's see how to fill the null values. So how to fill the null values? In order to fill the null values of the data frame, we have another function called as fill any. As we use to drop the null values, we use drop any. So in order to fill the null values, we have fill any. So I will use like df dot fill any, and within the parameter I have to give the values to which I want to fill. Like if I give the 5, it will replace all the null values with 5. It will fill wherever it found the null values, it will fill it with the 5. So this is how we can use the fill any function. Then if I want to fill it with the median or the mode, generally while doing the data analysis, we will fill the null value with the median and the mode based on some criteria. So if I have numerical column, I will fill it with the mean or the median. So if I have categorical column, I will fill it with the mode. So let's see how to fill the information to the null value. So let's see how to check each column for null value and fill it with the median of that column. So I will write one simple code for that. So I will write like for I means each column in. So in order to get each column name, I have to use df dot columns. This is a function. So first I will show you how this function works, how this code works. If I give this df dot columns, it will give the name of the each column. So it will give the name of the each column in a list like this. So if I write for loop for this, for I in this each column, then check if df of I means here the column name. It will check for the first column. It will check if df of I means df of rank is not equal to object I will explain this code after writing that. If not is equal to object, then df of I means df dot column, first column, then fill that column. I will give fill any, check for the whether that have any na value, fill na. Within that I have to give what I want to fill. So here I want to fill with the median of this column. So I will give like df of I, then median of this median function. Then I want to make this change permanent, so I will use in place is equal to true. So how this code work is, it will check for each column. So df dot columns will give the name of the each column. So it will iterate through the each column. So it will first check for rank. It will first hold this rank column and it will check df dot I means df dot rank is not equal to. So here I have to give d types, and it will check the data type of this column is not equal to object. Why I am giving not equal to object here is I want only the column with the numerical value. So I am giving like d types is not equal to object, then fill the df dot I means fill that column with fill na of the median of that column, and I want to make that change permanently. So if I run this, I'm getting one. So I have to. So if I run this code, so that code is executed. If I now check for, that df information, then is null. Df dot is null. Then the sum of the each column null value. So if I now check for that, see, all the numerical column is filled with the median. All the numerical column null values is filled with the median of that. So here is showing that no null values in the all the column, but in the website column we have 5 null value because we only replaced or filled the null values of the numerical column. So I will use the same code for fill the null values of the categorical column. So I will copy this code and I will make some changes. So I have to iterate through each column. Then I want to check for the types. Here I want to check for the types equal to object because I am making changes in the column of the categorical variable. So in the categorical column I have to fill it with the mode. So I will give here the mode of that, and I want to fill it with the mode of first because the data frame or the data can have more than one mode value. So if I check for the mode, it will give the result of more than one mode value. So I want to fill it with the first mode. So I will give the mode that is first mode, fill na of df.y, same, otherwise everything is same. I run this. If I now check for this here, before I had 5 null values in website. If I now check for that, so that website column, the null values also replaced with the mode of that. So now my data frame is free from null values. So this is how we can fill the null values with the median or the mode by making this code. For numerical column, we have to fill it with the median of that. For the categorical column, we have to fill it with the mode of that column. So this is how we can fill the null values. Then let's see how to get the statistical summary of the data while doing the data analysis. So the getting the statistical summary is the most crucial step of data analysis. So by getting the data statistical summary, we can get the some insights from of the data, how the data is distributed, how we can get more information about the data structure. So let's see how to get the data statistical summary of the data in Pandas. So for that I will use, so here this is my data frame, that is df is my data frame. I will use describe over here. If I use describe function, it will give the statistical summary of my data. So it will give the statistical summary like counts, mean, standard deviation, minimum, and 25% percentile, 50, 75, and maximum value. So it will give like this for each column. If I want to transport, if I want this column come over here and this column come over here, I will just use capital T dot capital T. If I run this, it is transported. Like rank is come over here. Then if I want to give, as I explained how to reset the indexes in the previous topic. So if I want to give, so this is like a table. If I want to give index for this table, so I will use that reset underscore index. So reset underscore index. So as I don't have any previous indexes, I don't need to drop is equal to true because I don't have any previous index. So if I run this, it will give the index for my this summary table, and I want to store that in another variable, that is summary. So now if I run this, it has stored this summary is stored in here. If now I check for that summary, so I will get that So this is how we can get the descriptive statistics of our data frame. And we can also make the changes by transporting, means the column, shifting up column from here to here. And we can also add the indexes for our data frame. By default, the describe function will give this much information like index, count, mean, standard deviation, mean, 25%, 50%, 75%, and maximum. So if I want to add some more information to descriptive statistics, how can I add this? As we add a new column to any data frame, here my summary is my data frame. So if I add, I can add many columns to it by using that slicing function. So if I want to add interquartile range, suppose, so I will give the column name as interquartile range. So I will give the interquartile range, and I will assign it with the. So what is interquartile range? So interquartile range formula is that Q3 minus Q1. Here in my summary, the Q3 is 75% and Q1 is 25%. So I will just use summary of 75%. I have to give the column name, that is 75% minus the summary 25%. So if I give this and then I will check for summary. So here I have created a new column with IQR, and I will assign it with the 75% minus 25%, means this column minus this column, and I run this. If I run this, column, let's see, if I run this, it will create a new column, that is IQR, and it will assign it with the that 75% minus 25%, means 487.75 minus 163.25, that is 324. For each row it will do the same, and it will create a one IQR. Like this I can add many columns. So if I want to add lower whisker, I can also add lower whisker. Lower whisker is, if I know the formula, like lower whisker is summary of, means Q1 minus 1.5 of IQR. So summary, so I have Q1, that is 25%, minus 1.5 into 1.5 into summary of, means that IQR. So I have already created IQR, so I will give IQR. So as the same way I can also add upper whisker. So Control C and Control V, I will copy it over here. So I will give the name as upper whisker. So here I have to make changes like 75%. Here I plus, the formula is plus 1.5 of summary IQR. So if now I check for summary, let's see. So now check for summary, it has created two more columns with lower whisker and upper whisker, and it will fill it with the information as I created one formula over here. So like that, I can also add the skewness information. For example, I will create the skew column. The column name is skew, and I have to get the data from the df data frame, and I will calculate the skewness by using the function skew. So first I have to get the data. So df dot select underscore dtypes in the bracket I will include is equal to numbers. So it will get, sorry, here number. So it will select only column with numerical data type, and it will calculate the skew. Before that I have to transport it because it will give the series. So t dot the skew function. If I run this, it will add the skew data to the summary. So if I now check for the data, so it have the skew information like here, the skewness of each column. So like that I can also add the kurtosis. So I will copy this here. So I will give the column name as kurtosis. Then for that also I have to get the column with numerical value. Then here I change the function, that is curt. So if I run this and check for the summary table now, so it has one more column with kurtosis information. So like that I can also add some more, like if I want to add the variance. So variance is the square of the standard deviation. As we have the standard deviation in our summary, so I will just square that and I will add that to the variance column. So I will first call that summary of standard deviation. So std, the exact name is std. So I will put it over here. So std, and I want to make the square of that. So double into 2. So it will square this standard deviation information each column and it will assign it to the variance that is newly created. So then I want to check summary. So if I run this, it has created the variance column over here. Then like that I can also add the null values or the range. Suppose I want to add the range. I will give the name of the column, that is range. Then the range is the difference between the maximum and the minimum. As we have maximum and the minimum in our summary, I will call that summary of first max minus summary min, that is summary minimum. So if I run this summary, we can see here that I have the range information also. Then at last I will add one more column, that is coefficient of variation. I will call it as CV. I will call it as CV. That is CV is the standard deviation divided by mean. As I have standard deviation and mean in my summary, I will call standard deviation the summary STD, standard deviation STD. So I have to give it in a double quote STD divided by the mean, the summary in mean. So if I now check for summary after that, let's see, I have the covariance also. Like this we can add some more information to our descriptive statistics by using this slicing method and indexing and assigning and creating a new column and assigning by using some of the formulas like this. So now we have the table of the descriptive statistics with more information. If I want to make transport of this dot t, I will get the information like this. So index, count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, 25%, 50%, 75% maximum. These all are the we have created like interquartile range, lower whisker, upper whisker, skew, kurtosis, variance, range, CV. So like that we can do extra information like this. Then let's see how to merge the series to data frame, or we can also merge the data frame to another data frame. So I will explain with one example. Suppose I have one series and I want to merge it to the this summary data frame. So I will first create one series of with the null values information. So I have to get df dot, from df I want to get select. Okay, df dot select underscore, that I want to select only the d types of I want to include only the numerical column. So I will give this the select dtype of include only number, and after that I want to count the number of null value is null. So I will count is null and I want to sum it off so that I can get one series like this. So it has the series like of rank, undergraduate, and it will have the number of null value, and I want to make it the series like pd dot. I want to give the name for this series so that it can come as a column. After that I merge it, pd dot series, pd dot series. Here I want to give the name. I will give the name as null value, null values. So I will close this, and I want to store it in a variable that is null, null. Okay, store it in a null. So if I now check for null, I have one series that is rank, undergraduate, and it has the name of the series that is null value. So if I want to merge this null to the summary, so based on the indexes, so here I have the indexes in summary like rank, undergraduate, and student population, like that. In series I have the same indexes, okay, so that I can merge that two. So I will use pd dot merge, pd dot merge. I want to merge the summary, that is my data frame, summary data frame, with this data frame, that is this series, that is the name is null, and I have to give two more parameters, that is based on what. So I am doing the merge based on the indexes, so I will give the left underscore index is equal to true, then the right index, right underscore index is equal to true. If I give this, it will merge the summary and the null series based on the indexes. So here the both summary and this series I have the same indexes, so that I can merge it up based on this index. So if I merge it, it will give the summary like after merging it. So here I have the summary after merging the null values to it. So by this way I can merge the series or the data frame based on one single index or the similarities. And let's see how to watch entire data frame. So whenever I use that df, it like this df, it only give the minimum number of some number of data frame like information, like here it going to only give the till 4, and after that 645 to last. Then if I want to see the entire data frame, I have to one option or many option like that, but I will show you one option to see the entire data frame. So I will use pd dot. So pd dot, I have set option, set underscore option, set option. Within the parameter I have to give the display underscore, sorry, display dot max row, display dot max underscore row is equal to, after that I have to give a none like this. If I set like this, then if I now see the df data frame, it takes some time because the data frame is huge, the multiple rows, so it will take some times to load that. So generally this is not recommended while doing the data analysis, because it will take some many times to load that entire data frame then show it to you. So here you can see it is running. So after that it will give the entire data frame like this. We have many options like this. We can see, we can recommend, I will recommend you to watch the data documentation of the pandas to check for the how to see this entire data frame. So I have one option, that is set option. By doing set option we can see the entire data frame like this, but it will take, like here you can see it takes the 2 481 millisecond to load this, so this is not recommended. So if you want to see the entire data frame, you can go for this method, this option, that is pd dot set option display the maximum row, that is none. And this is the end of this video. In this video we learned many things, like we saw about how to like we saw about how to import the libraries to notebook like pandas and os. By using os you can check for the where my notebook is currently working, and we also saw about how to read a file from the story by using read function. That, and after that we saw about how to do basic data exploration by using some basic functions, and by using info we can get information of our data frame. Then we used some data cleaning of the how to find the null values, how to do drop of columns, and how to do drop of rows, and how to drop the row with null values. And we also saw about how to reset the indexes, and how to fill the null values with median and mode. And we also watched about how to get the statistical summary, and we also did some how to add some more information to the statistical summary, then how to add more information, then how to merge the series to data frame, and at last we saw about how to see the entire data frame by using set option. So thank you for watching. Tune for the next video.